Take a look at this. What do you see here? This image, found on Google Earth, blew the minds of conspiracy theorists everywhere. The location is the city of Almere, Netherlands. On the shore is a wooden pier. There are brown spots on it. At the edge of the deck, there's a figure that seems to be leaning over something. Or someone. It looks quite creepy, doesn't it? As if someone dragged a lifeless body to the very edge to throw it into the water. People began to speculate wildly. Theories multiplied. Some claimed they visited the site themselves and found chalk outlines of a body, just like the ones police draw at crime scenes. Either it was a real marking or an elaborate prank. But did this image really capture a murder scene? What are Google Maps really doing to us? We open them and sometimes find ourselves not just observers. We accidentally become witnesses. Or at least we think we do. Because the Almere incident isn't the only one. And it certainly isn't the strangest. You'll soon find out what really happened there. Today, let's talk about the most unsettling finds on Google Maps. Things that were never meant to be seen, but somehow ended up captured forever. Who placed a Coca-Cola logo made of 70,000 bottles in the desert, long before Google Maps even existed? Why is there a black hole in the middle of the ocean on a Google image? And why are blood-red pools scattered across the planet? Creepy discoveries on Google Maps. Here's an eerie find located in Sadr City, a suburb of Baghdad, Iraq. Satellite images captured a strange body of water, bright red in color, which became known under the name Lago Vermelho. It was first noticed in 2007. The color looked so unnatural that it sparked a wave of rumors and theories. The first was logical and simple. It could be a sewage disposal site. Then, why is it red? Could Iraq be developing a new biological weapon? Some users compared the place to a giant pool filled with blood. Others believed it was a place of rituals or sacrifices. A few even suspected that it was the horrific aftermath of military action. There was also another version. The scarlet color of the water came from a sewage system issue. Apparently, not properly treated wastewater could have entered the reservoir. As a result, the water took on a distinctive reddish hue due to a failure in the filtration system. One source shared a different theory with the tech blog Boing Boing. They claimed that the red water was the result of slaughterhouses dumping animal blood directly into the canals. Many believed this theory to be true. But what could it really be? Why does this lake look so strange? To answer this question, we need to look at other cases. The lake in Iraq cannot be the only one of its kind. Indeed, there are many such lakes around the world. For example, Lake Ritba in Senegal. It looks as if someone poured strawberry syrup into it. Moreover, it turns pink during the dry season, from late January to March. Next is Hillier, Australia, a small lake on Middle Island. From the air, it looks like a lollipop among the greenery. And yes, this color is not a temporary phenomenon. It is permanently pink, like a glitch in reality. Lake Urmia, Iran. Sometimes red, sometimes quite ordinary, depending on the season. But when it is red, it looks more like a scene from a movie about Mars. And this is not the full list of lakes and reservoirs that turn red from time to time. There are at least a couple of dozen of them across the planet, in Africa, Australia, the Middle East, and South America. The climate varies, the terrain varies, so why does the water in them exhibit the same unusual behavior? Is there something they have in common? One convincing theory is that it's all due to the algae Dunaliella salina, holophilic bacteria and archaea that live in such reservoirs. They produce the red pigment beta-carotene. This is why during the blooming period, the water turns pink or even red, like blood. Lake Lago Vermelho has isolated areas of water overlaid with concrete. The water in them gradually evaporates. Most likely, the salts accumulated in the water become more concentrated, and this is a perfect place for such organisms to reproduce. But how come this red lake, among many others, is shrouded in mystery and speculation? It's probably because of its isolation. The outskirts of Baghdad, with its industrial sites and high fences, aren't exactly a tourist hotspot. Many don't have direct access to see for themselves that the Red Lake is just the result of algae and bacteria. The mystery of Lago Armario may lie in its inaccessibility, but some locations raise questions even if you can go and check them yourself. For example, a mysterious pentagram located in the hard-to-reach steppes of Kazakhstan. A perfectly flat, five-pointed star in a ring, approximately 1,200 feet, 366 meters, in diameter. It resembles an engraving directly into the ground. The pentagram is located on the southern shore of the Verkhnya Tobolsk Reservoir. There are no cities, villages, or ancient temples in this area. The nearest settlement is the city of Lysychovsk, about 12 miles, 20 kilometers to the east. The star is visible from above, as if it were drawn specifically for those looking down from the sky. This is extremely strange. Everyone knows that pentagrams are used in occult rituals. It's the basis of the Church of Satan's symbol, the sigil of Baphomet, the official emblem of the satanic cult. And here's a huge pentagram in the midst of a field. Why? Internet users and conspiracy theorists began to speculate. Some suggested that the place was used for occult rituals. Others were sure that it was a landing site for UFOs because the shape was too perfect and large, as if it had been deliberately made for alien observers. Theories ranged from sites of sacrifice to neo-pagan power zones, and even gateways to other dimensions. The most disturbing detail? For a time, Google Maps showed a marker at the center of the star, marked as a cafe or restaurant. Later, the place mark disappeared, but that only fueled the rumors. Some users began to claim that there could have been a cafe for cannibals there, where human flesh was allegedly served. But who created this pentagram? When? And most importantly, why? The answer to this question was surprisingly simple and logical. According to local archaeologist Emma Usmanova, the mysterious pentagram is actually the outline of a park. It was supposed to be part of a youth camp that was planned to be built in the late 1980s. Back then, in the USSR, the star was the symbol of the state, not of Satanists. The five-pointed star was on the flag, on military caps, on medals. It all made sense, but the designers apparently decided to fit it into a circle, perhaps for the sake of symmetry and the convenience of walking around the park in a circle. But then things didn't go as planned. The USSR collapsed, construction was frozen, and neither the camp nor the park was built. In the end, only the outline remained. In reality, if you go there, you will see an overgrown area with nothing going on. But from orbit, it's magical. As for the Cannibal Cafe, it's even simpler. Someone who owned a cafe nearby was just trying to cheat. Knowing that these coordinates attract traffic, the business owners put their place marks here, even though their cafes were dozens of kilometers away. Just a marketing trick. Dirty, but it works. This mysterious place attracts too much public interest. So no rituals, Satanists, or secret bases, just an unfinished Soviet construction and imagination. It would seem that everything is clear, but wait before you breathe a sigh of relief. If we travel thousands of miles to the Pacific Ocean, we will see something much stranger. Welcome to Vostok Island, Republic of Kiribati. If you search for it on Google Maps and enter its coordinates, you will definitely feel slightly uneasy, because it doesn't look like an island at all. Compare it to satellite images of other islands. Instead of sandy beaches, fields, hills, and greenery, there's just a large black spot, completely barren. It looks like a drain in a giant bathtub, a funnel that's about to suck in everything around it. No wonder the photo went viral. Vostok Island is not simply different, it looks like it belongs to another world. People had many theories about it. Some were sure it was a classified military facility. They implied that Google concealed something that was not for prying eyes. Perhaps a military base, antennas, or something inexplicable. Others took it even further and suggested that it was not an island at all, but a disguise. The Black Dome could be hiding weapon depots, labs, or even an underground entrance. But what is it really? And why is Vostok different from other islands? To explain this, we first need to tell you the story of this place. Vostok is a tiny coral island in the Pacific Ocean. It's 0.43 miles long and 0.37 miles wide. Its total area is 59 acres. It was discovered in 1820 by Russian explorer Bellingshausen. and named after a ship, Vostok. Whalers and expeditions sometimes pass by, but no one has ever settled there. Why? Because it's impossible to live there. The island doesn't have fresh water or normal soil. Even coconuts could not take root there. All that grows there is a forest of pisonia trees. They grow up around 100 feet high in peat soil and are so dense that no other plants can grow beneath them. There are no paths or clearings, just a thick green wall. The only animals living on the island are seabirds, turtles, crabs, skinks, and Polynesian rats. It's also a protected reserve, and it's extremely difficult to get there. Landing by sea is nearly impossible, and there are no harbors or bays. Now, the most important thing. Why does the island look like a black hole from above? Those are actually trees. From space, their crowns merge into a solid dark spot. And if you don't know that these are just trees, you might think it's a portal, censorship, or something supernatural. Such oddities are not uncommon, and they are found not only in the middle of the ocean, but also in the most seemingly lifeless corners of the land. You open a map. Somewhere in the lifeless desert of New Mexico is a flat plateau, nothing exciting. But once you zoom in, it gets creepy. Two enormous, almost 1,200 feet circles are etched into the ground, each enclosing a diamond pattern, as if someone scorched them with a laser. People are freaking out on the internet. Who did this? Why? Some say these are marks for aliens. Others say it's a ritual sign. A secret organization is based there. There were also talks about a secret military base, Freemasons, and other mysteries. But what is it really? The answer was surprising. These circles belong to a religious organization, the well-known and very powerful Church of Scientology. This religion was founded by science fiction writer Ron Hubbard. In the mid-20th century, Scientologists believe that man is a spiritual, immortal being, and all troubles are the result of traumas from past lives. But back to the circles themselves. This mysterious place is called the base of Trementina. Nearby is an airship and an archive building with an underground vault. This place was built between 1986 and 1992. Hubbard's papers, lectures, and writings are held there, all engraved on stainless steel plates and sealed in titanium capsules. And it's all buried underground. A real spiritual vault that will preserve the information for centuries. But why these strange marks on the ground? There are several answers. According to one version, this is some symbol of the church, engraved for helicopters that fly down there. The place is located in a remote desert area. There's nothing but similar hills and sand, and these symbols help to navigate. They're like giant signposts visible from the sky. Pilots can easily land in the right place. But there's also another version. Former members of the organization claim these circles are marks, a so-called point of return. Scientologists of the future will come here from elsewhere in the universe. They'll be looking for Hubbard's writings, and these marks will help them. Also, it's great advertising. Huge symbols in the desert look strange, disturbing, and mysterious. Millions of comments, tons of attention, all for free. Not a single dollar for marketing. Hard to believe, but originally, Scientologists wanted to hide information about this place. In the 1990s, when the media found out about the marks, the church was, as always, reticent. But when images from outer space appeared in 2005, the place became a viral sensation, engulfed in rumors and speculation. Yes, a lot of things seem strange from above, especially when the places are sparsely populated and inaccessible. In Arizona, we have a similar story, but with airplanes instead of marks. And it's all set in a desert plain. There seem to be hundreds, maybe even thousands of airplanes. Some of them are warplanes, fighters and bombers. Others are intended for cargo or passenger transport. There are even spacecraft, all standing together as if waiting for orders. But why are they here? Why are so many military aircraft in one place? Is it really the world's largest military base, and Google just gave away all the secrets? The web users again began to speculate. Some say it's a storage facility in case of a big war. Others are sure that this is where the alien technology is stashed. There are those who believe that all this is a fake. Dummies for the enemy. Is it really so? No. In fact, this place is an airplane graveyard. Such things exist, yes. But shouldn't they be disposed of like cars or ships? Why are they kept out in the open? What for? We'll tell you why. But let's start from the beginning. The Davis-Monthan base was named in honor of the famous pilots of World War I, Samuel Davis and Oscar Monten. They died in airplane crashes. The base trained military pilots, gunners, navigators, and maintenance workers. All this against the background of shiny brand new airplanes, ready for takeoff. Since the end of the 1940s, the decommissioned airplanes have started to be collected here. Why exactly in this place? The reason is the climate. The air here is dry, containing only 10 to 20% humidity, almost no rain. The soil is hard and alkaline, and nothing falls down. The altitude is 2,550 feet above sea level. Airplanes don't rot, don't fall apart, and they can be put right on the ground, without asphalt, without runways. After World War II, the US Air Fleet numbered about 65,000 planes, all in varying conditions. By May 1946, hundreds of aircraft had been moved to Davis-Monthan for storage, presumably about 800. Some were disassembled for parts, others were mothballed, and some were waiting for their second life. There was also a full-fledged military base where the military was trained. Future engineers gained experience in assembling different units. Every year, about 200 to 250 airplanes are delivered here. But what do they do with them? First, inspection. Documentation, maintenance, modifications, everything is checked and the future of the unit is determined. Then the work begins. They remove weapons, ejection seats, plates, and even clocks. The fuselage is washed. The fuel system is flushed with oil. Then it's dried and preserved. The airplane is coated with protective materials. Afterward, it's towed to the site where it awaits its future utilization. Some planes will be dismantled and refurbished. Others will be used for parts. What's left will be sold for scrap. In the past, decommissioned aircraft were given away in their entirety. Now, they're fragmented before they're given to recyclers. Everything's under control. Currently, the 309th Aerospace Maintenance and Regeneration Group, AMARG, AMARG, operates at Davis-Monthan Air Force Base. Whatever the Army or government no longer needs is sent here. There are more than 3,000 airplanes, about 40 spacecraft, and a lot of engines, altogether worth over $35 billion. It's a highly guarded facility. You can't get in without a security clearance. However, you wouldn't need to get through all that fuss for the next weird site on Google Maps, because it's literally lying on the ground in the open air, and it's visible from space. To be more precise, on satellite images on Google Maps. When people first saw photos of a giant pink plush bunny, many couldn't believe their eyes. What is it? Photoshop? An advertising campaign? Maybe someone is shooting a movie with a huge prop. Or maybe a hologram. Well, not quite. In 2005, the Viennese art group Gelatin set up the object in Coleto Fava in Piedmont, Italy. The artists prepared huge pieces of pink fabric in advance and then sewed them together right on the hillside. The art object was about 200 feet long and 20 feet high. It was stuffed with straw and looked like a children's toy dropped by a giant. In addition, knitted organs stuck out of the bunny's belly. Yes, it was a bit creepy, but all these details made it only more interesting. The project was called Hase, meaning rabbit in German, but it wasn't just meant to be seen, it was meant to be touched, climbed, rested on. People would stretch out on its soft ears, take photos, and relax. The artist hoped it would last until 2025, but the fabric didn't survive. By 2016, most of the bunny had decomposed. All that's left are memories, photos, and rumors. You can't even find it on Google Maps anymore. The giant is gone, and only the legend remains. But the next strange object on our list is not in danger of disappearing or being forgotten. Not for the next 1,000 years. These are the stone circles in the Ezra Oasis, Jordan. Note that there are many objects like this in the area. Some of them can be seen on Google Maps, but what are they? And why were they made? And as always, people have been speculating online. Some said they were traces of spaceships, others said they were ancient ritual symbols. Someone even suggested that they were a natural phenomenon, but the real story is much more intriguing. These are ancient structures called wheels. Some of them are up to 8,500 years old, and their arrangement is not random. Some are oriented strictly towards the sunrise on the day of the winter solstice. This means that these structures may have had astronomical significance. From the air, they look like huge circles with spokes, but on the ground, they're almost imperceptible. And this is surprising. In an era when there were no balloons or gliders, it seems useless to build something that cannot be seen. Such patterns are found in the Middle East, in the deserts of Jordan, Syria, and Saudi Arabia. Researchers call them works of the old men. But what was the purpose of all this? In some circles, piles of stacked stones resembling burial sites have been found. Others are empty. Perhaps these objects had different purposes. Some people suggest they were related to cults. Others think they were calendars. Archaeologists are trying to carefully excavate several of these objects. But for now, they remain one of the strangest mysteries that can be seen from orbit. Another strange discovery on Google Maps is a mysterious image taken over an Australian field. It clearly shows a dark triangle with bright lights. The internet immediately exploded. It's aliens. It's definitely a UFO. People claimed that the strange object was hovering in the sky, as if watching the Earth. Some were confident that this was proof of extraterrestrial life, but reality turned out to be less fantastic. It's not a UFO. The photo shows a temporary meteorological mast. These are installed by wind farm developers to collect wind data over several years. They need to know if the location is suitable for installing turbines, and to obtain accurate information, the mast should be at the same height as the future blades. The triangular shape? It's simple. These are the struts that hold the tower in place. Such structures are the cheapest and most practical. The area was surrounded by a loose embankment. That's what formed the dark triangle against the yellow grass. A strong contrast that gave the satellite image sharp, well-defined edges. And the shadow stretching to the west once again proves it's just a tall tower. It was later dismantled, which is why it cannot be found in more recent images. So yet another alien has turned out to be nothing more than a human endeavor. But what do you think about this image? It's located in the Egyptian desert near Hurghada on the Red Sea coast. It looks massive and extraterrestrial. Only alien beings could have created something like this. Or not. Many internet users suggested that it was a message from the past, perhaps a place for sacrifices or a religious symbol. But all these theories turned out to be wrong. In fact, the double spiral in the middle of the desert is a land art installation. It was created by Greek artists between 1995 and 1997. The project was named Desert Breath, and it sounds like some kind of ancient ritual. And in a way, it is. Especially considering the work it took to create it. The artists didn't just draw a spiral, they literally carved it out of the desert. Sand was carefully dug out of one place and moved to another. It was used to form 89 convex cones, and in their place, 89 concave pits remained. A total of 28,300 cubic feet of sand were moved. In the center, there's a perfectly round pool, almost 100 feet in diameter. It was once filled with water. Now it's empty. It's evaporated. And that was the idea. The artwork is about infinity, about time, about everything in the world passing away and remaining. The total scale? Nearly 1 million square feet. That's more than 20 football fields. If all the sand had to be transported elsewhere, it would have taken around 300 dump trucks. But since the locations were nearby, the artists managed to do everything with a bulldozer and a front-end loader. The final shapes of the cones, craters, and central basin were finished by hand, using shovels and following surveyor markings. Desert Breath is still visible from orbit. It is disappearing slowly, but gracefully, as if the desert itself did not want to erase it. This brings to mind the case of a sunken ship that was visible on satellite images for decades. In 2003, the Bolivian-flagged cargo ferry MV Jassim ran aground and sank in the Red Sea, about 8 miles from the coast of Sudan. Most likely, the 250-foot ship lost control and ran aground on the Wingate Coral Reef. Interestingly, this is not the first ship to find its end here. In 1940, the Italian ship SS Umbria sank on the same reef. Its captain learned about the start of World War II while surrounded by enemy ships. He decided to sink his ship so that the enemy would not get the weapons it was carrying. Since then, this place has become one of the main diving spots in the Red Sea. Now imagine, Years pass, technology develops, and there's another shipwreck at this same spot. And moreover, it's visible from space. In this case, there was no need for conspiracy theories. Everything was obvious. But people wondered, why has the ship been lying on the reef for so many years? Why hasn't it been removed? It's very simple. The ship does not hinder navigation, as it sank far from the main shipping lanes. To remove it, money and technical resources are needed, but Sudan does not have the infrastructure to dispose of the sunken ship. Moreover, it's become an attraction for tourists and divers. Currently, it cannot be seen on maps. There's no confirmed information that the ship's been removed. Most likely, the hull is still on the reef. It's just been heavily deteriorated by waves, corrosion, and time. It's also become overgrown with coral and fused with the reef, becoming part of the ecosystem. Yes, from high above, simple objects can appear surreal. But what about Google Maps Street View images? Sometimes they reveal scenes that feel a little too strange to explain. For example, this photo was taken in Nogoro, Japan. Actually, it's a small Japanese village in the mountains of East Aya. Judging by the photos on Google Street View, it looks full of life, people working and going about their day. In one corner, there's a wedding taking place. In another, construction workers in helmets are setting up a road sign. And by the river, a couple sits together, seemingly in love. Everything looks normal, except something feels off. Wait, are these really the village's residents? Yes, but they're not people. They're dummies. There are more than 300 life-size figures. The locals call them Kakashi, which means scarecrow in Japanese. The first dummy was made by a woman named Ayano Tsukimi. It was intended to scare away birds. Then she made one in memory of her father, and then her neighbor. And so it went. People asked her to immortalize those who had moved away or died. Now there are fewer real residents than scarecrows. Only 27 people live here, almost all of them over 70. The village is dying out. The school is closed, there are no jobs, and the nearest hospital is an hour and a half away. Life has left this place. Only the Kakashi remain. And this contrast drew attention. Nogoro was featured on TV, and the Huffington Post wrote about it. Ayano Tsukimi even hosts workshops here on how to make these figures. For the locals, the dummies are not just art objects, but a reminder of loss and a disappearing Japan. But something just as strange appeared in Google Maps. This time on the outskirts of Japan's capital. A group of people wearing enormous pigeon masks standing dangerously close to the car that captured the images. Yes, this photo looks absurd, even disturbing. 8 people are standing on the side of the road wearing rubber pigeon masks. The web exploded. Who are those? Why are they here? What does it mean? In fact, it's an art performance. The symbol of the city is the Yamabato bird, an eastern dove, one of the pigeon species. The performance was presumably intended to show how the city's residents merge with it. The authors of a Japanese blog decided to get themselves featured on Google Maps and attract attention. Having learned that Google would be photographing their neighborhood in March 2013, they put on costumes and lined up in anticipation of the camera. Once you get caught on it, you will remain in history for many years. Even a simple Google Street View frame can turn a performance into a viral sensation. So it's not surprising that major brands went further, creating installations visible on Google Maps. In 1986, Coca-Cola celebrated its anniversary in a very unusual way. A giant logo was laid out on a hillside in the Chilean desert, not far from the city of Arica. No paint, no concrete, just 70,000 empty glass bottles. The brand name was written in the company's signature font, with the caption 100 años in Spanish, 100 years. The installation measured 164 by 394 feet. Of course, back then there was no such thing as Google Maps. No one planned it as a PR action visible from space. But with the development of satellite imaging, the logo suddenly became popular. After some time, the inscription was refreshed. Now it reads 125 años. Everything else remained the same. Just a name on the ground that can only be seen from above. And it all still lies there among the rocks and sand. However, Coca-Cola is not the only brand visible from space. KFC also ran a similar campaign. After rebranding in 2006, the company placed its giant logo in the Nevada desert. The area was laid out with tiles measuring 1 foot each. A total of 65,000 squares of red, black, white, and gray were needed. It took 6 days to create the giant image of Colonel Sanders. Why in the Nevada desert? Perhaps the company was counting on the attention focused on the neighboring Area 51. However, the logo did not last long. In 2007, it was completely dismantled. Yes, advertising is literally everywhere, even in satellite images, which are supposedly just meant to show the world from above. But what if those images conceal not just logos and marketing tricks, but something far stranger? Yes, we're talking about that very photo from Almere, the one you saw at the beginning, the one that gave the whole world a scare. Had we really all captured a murder scene from space? That's what everyone thought, until a woman named Jacqueline Cohen saw the picture, and she recognized herself and her dog. Wet and happy. The pier is her favorite place to walk. The stains? Just watermarks. Her dog had come out of the lake, run along the pier, and left behind wet footprints. And it was at that exact moment that the picture was taken from above. That's what this creepy mystery was.